Damn.
Fuck.
The Discord or no, off the Discord.
No problem, Cabal.
But they never talk about what happened in the Pacific. How the U.S.
It's not as popular. That's the sad part.
Yeah, but the Pacific has some of the most craziest stories of the entire war. Like the story of like a single Gurkha holding off a regiment's worth of Japanese soldiers with one hand gone from a grenade that blew up in his hand. And his entire time he was shouting the phrase, "Come and fight a see what it's like to fight a Gurkha."
There was also the dentist who mid-surgery got caught by a fucking battalion and decided, I'm gonna kill
that.
these people.
That was the Battle of Saipan, and during what's called a Yokusai, which is literally a Japanese, like, you know, bonsai. I'm sure everyone knows what a bonsai charge is.
Everyone
But a
knows,
Yokusai
yeah.
is literally like the next stage bonsai. Everybody, wounded or not,
Oh wait, we have
will
a
charge
story time
and
going
run
on. This
to
is
them.
cool.
Yep. We're
Talking
talking
about the
about
Pacific
killing
Theater.
people.
I love learning about the Pacific Theater, which is really funny considering none of my family ever served in the Pacific. My grandfather.
Something cool.
What?
So, I'm a big history nerd. Point where I actually do historical reenactments. So one of the kits I actually do is actually Imperial Japanese. I have a rifle. I have all the original uniform kit. I've got about 6 different reference books around me right now. I'm building another kit for an Okinawa event in like a month. I do all that stuff IRL.
What sort of fuckery is going on over here?
Story time.
I was talking about the Yokusai of the Japanese at Saipan. Okay, he's going by. But the Yokusai literally had like one of the only times a bonsai charge ever was performed with tanks. And it was the only bonsai charge, I think, if I remember correctly, that actually ever succeeded in breaking the U.S. lines.
Ooh, ambience.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But it,
Anyways.
the first time to ever break Allied lines, and is the only time a bonsai charge ever succeeded in throwing back troops into the sea. Like some U.S. Marines and soldiers were scrambling to get off the beach and swim to the Navy that's off the shore.
So did you just mount bayonets on the tanks or something?
Nah, they just ran over U.S. fighting positions. Also, but they also keep forgetting is that U.S. positions are dug into the ground sometimes, so guys with bazookas would just pop out and fire their bazookas in the back of the Chinese tanks. And like the fighting was so chaotic, especially in Saipan, that guys would literally be able to, in the confusion, hop onto tanks and throw in like phosphorus or frag grenades into the Japanese tanks.
I'm presuming their attrition rate was still high for those tank charges.
Well, I mean, Japanese attrition rates in general were incredibly high, but U.S. attrition rates, every battle would climb. It's half the reason why the U.S. was downright terrified of actually invading Japanese home islands. Because they predicted, I think, around 1 million Allied casualties in total, and 5 million Japanese casualties at minimum.
It's so if they're doing that while defending some islands that aren't that important, imagine what they'll be doing while trying to defend the homeland.
They had 27 divisions in Kyushu, which is where like around 15 Allied divisions were going to land during Operation Downfall. The plan literally called for using the entirety of the Marine Corps as a diversionary attack.
Jesus Christ!
And the U.S. Navy was prepared for losing around like a significant portion of the fleet heading to Japan via kamikaze attacks. The Japanese literally had kamikaze frogmen who would sit under the water with mines taped to the ends of sticks waiting for Allied landing craft.
Oh my.
It's half the reason why they dropped the bomb. That's actually a legitimate thing they had. It's lunge mine. They used them to knock out Allied tanks.
Yeah, it's in Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
I heard that the stick itself didn't actually work, from what I recall. Like, it popped on a tank and that was the end of it.
Well, we kill the user most of the time.
Yeah, that's normally how that would work, though. But literally, the Japanese defense plan, the Japanese called the defense plan the glorious death of the 10 million. They would literally plan to sacrifice 10 million people to try and stop the Allies. How are you
Damn.
fighting an enemy that is willing to commit suicide on a national level?
Yeah, I don't think even the Russians were willing to go that far, if I'm not
The Russians
mistaken.
tried to attack Hokkaido, which is northern Japan, like near the Silicon Islands. They
Yeah?
tried a naval landing. They got destroyed. They only won because the way the Soviets normally win: numbers and their unrelenting ability to absorb casualties. So imagine what other option would the Allies have but other than dropping the bomb in the hopes that it would shock enough people in the Japanese government to make a surrender for actually seems better than national suicide.
Yeah.
Even
One
then,
thing. Oh,
even then, when the emperor issued the instrument of surrender, the military still tried to stop it. They literally tried to form a coup on the imperial palace a day before the surrender announcement would go out to the Japanese public. The only thing that messed it up was an American bombing raid on Tokyo, because the
No,
Tody
we
was
don't-
blacked out.
No, we don't. No, we don't want to surrender. We want to have millions of civilians die for pointless reasons.
That's
Yeah.
the Japanese. That was the Japanese back then. It was
I
an insanity.
I understand it was a pointless attempt to still just try and brute force the surrender to be more favorable to the Japanese. I understand though, but at that
How do
point,
you-
just surrender. I don't think the casualties are worth it.
The Japanese military it was. It's always worth it to them.
You don't understand. It was
The fir-
protecting the God Emperor. If you die for him, then holy shit, you did something.
You're
big.
dying for the descendant of Amaterasu, the main god of the Shinto religion.
civilians are just untrained soldiers.
Pretty much. That's why you shoot.
So
them.
if everybody go takes a
In a
look in
long
gen-
run roundabout way, yes.
Yeah.
if everybody go takes a look in general real quick, you'll see what
No.
I do every single time we find out I have
I've
any
seen
sort
that
of
move. I've
virus.
seen that video. I've seen that video.
That's me. Literally every time I'm told I have artillery support.
Hey, we found the cave. Fire.
Like, hey, send it. That was me. Like pretty much every time, That was me every time we ran into contact last time I was here for one of these ops.
But I just
I was
love
like, oh,
learning.
there's a mammoth tank.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh, there's a mammoth tank. Cool. Call our. I got mortars. We're good.
But I really do.
Is Charlie taking on the role again?
I'm quiet. Hey, Charlie, you want squad lead again?
Probably, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Charlie, you want to force me to do it?
No.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's maybe next year.
I'm gonna go
Next
into the
year.
suicide hole real quick and present my life to Kane. Hold on.
You ever hear
Okay,
of the
do
Battle of
that.
Samar?
Do tell.
It was basically where a force of destroyers, destroyer escorts, and
said he
escort
didn't want it.
carriers fought off what was left of the Imperial Japanese battleships and heavy
Yeah.
cruisers.
You know what? I'll allow it. Wait,
Kane said no.
no, I have a different thing. Are you ready?
Kane said no.
You have been cancelled.
Felix, say yes or no.
Someone show
He
me.
can't answer now.
Oh.
Just do it. I think he's dead.
No,
I'm not
shoot
sure. I'm
more.
not sure, guys.
Hey, the text in the bottom left corner should be removed. So.
I still see
Ow.
it.
What do you get rejected by Kane?
Okay.
He wasn't one of us.
Is A9 almost on? Alright, so let's just kind of go through real quick. Charlie, pick out who you want as medics and stuff. Your squad lead, have Twid be your second, like before, and then
And then I leave halfway through.
add on DSA to Ace Oh, he does have the Ace Combat? All DSA mods. What the fuck? Why is he
Alright,
broken?
any volunteer medics?
By the
I
way, in your
guess I
medic
can
role,
do
you'll
it
be
again.
promoted to doctor, and you're basically supposed to have a bag full of blood. Everybody should carry 1,000 milliliters of blood anyways, because if you go down, you have enough blood to pick yourself up once.
Nose
Alright,
goes.
Hellefu and...
Benry, did you get the old vest to work
I
yet?
can do medic again, I guess.
Yeah,
If you don't
it
mind
works,
to
it
go,
I
works.
I already got the loadout ready,
Sweet.
so.
Alright, I'm gonna keep my old
Yeah.
loadout then.
With that said, we need to keep everybody from like piling on a dead body, like we're in the middle of was it getting shot at, and everyone's trying to heal one person.
Yeah.
The most people it takes to heal one person is 2 people.
Which is why we like. I was designated medic on the like when we were doing it last time. And it's like everybody just kept piling on bodies, and we had like 3 people, and I'm like, why? If I get shot in the back of the head, like it ain't gonna help that you have another pair of hands on the dead body.
But what if they're not actually healing them? What if they're looting the person?
That's different.
What if they're finishing them off?
Yeah,
yeah.
loot the pistol off his body and blast him in the head with it.
All right, moving on.
Can
No
I
moving
talk
on.
about the
You
Battle of
stay on
Samar?
this.
No, I want to ask, what happens if I suck start my AK?
Hopefully a big explosion. Anyway, back to the battle.
Yes, I'd like to hear more about World War IV and a half.
Yeah, World War 4 by 2.
Yes.
Well, the
Go
Battle
on,
of
Camo.
the Battle of Samar involved a task force called Tavia 3. It had destroyers, destroyer escorts, and escort carriers. Literally the lightest ships the U.S. Navy had during the war. And what happened, what happened is the Japanese, in an attempt to fight off U.S. landings on Leyte,
Oh no, he's pulling his cock out.
No, I'm trying to get comfy.
Yeah,
I don't
go,
understand.
keep on going, Camo. I'm listening.
stop U.S. landings on the Leyte, Leyte
Put your cock
on the
away.
Philippines. The Japanese had a 2-prong assault. They would send half of what's left of the entirety of the Imperial Japanese Navy to attack the landing forces and then the landing covering forces. As the diversion, they would have what is left of the entire carrier
What did I do,
arm
Senator?
of the Imperial Japanese Navy
What
to
took the
try and
knockout?
draw away the 3rd and 7th U.S. fleets, which had the main striking power, which were the things that had the fleet carriers. Like, the Essex and the Yorktown classes.
You have 1 more minute to finish your story, and then I want to start brief.
Oh, that takes way more than 1 minute to explain the Battle of Samar.
Just say fuck it.
Then finish it.
Call it.
Yeah, it's
Basically, a destroyer named the Johnston scared the hell out of the super battleship Yamato and his sister Musashi.
Huh.
What do you think? You doubt my grenade throwing skills? Oh, come on, man. That arc was real close.
Okay, that was a smoke. For a minute there, I was like, oh fuck! One of these isn't gonna be a smoke.
Probably.
Uh-oh.
I've appeared all of them cannot join server.
Ow!
Oh, that's a frag.
Disappointment.
Oops, all frags.
Uh-oh, it wasn't smoke.
I'm just gonna sit here and vape. Yeah.
Okay, but seriously.
Okay, anyway, back to it.
Senator, I like your pit of agony.
Range. Hey, A9.
Ow.
Do you mind if I give my briefing and you listen here while you get repaired? That's really weird. Okay. So you'll notice, this isn't our usual spot. We're in what I like to call Debug Island. There's a couple reasons for that. The main reason being, if you leave this death cube, well, this is the safety cube, I should say. If you leave this safety cube, not death cube, safety cube without the proper protection, you will die. Charlie already proved that twice by glitching through the wall. I still don't know why you did that.
That was half mod.
I did it
Oh,
yeah.
once.
Well, there's still corpses out there. I
Anyway,
guess they're gone now. But So what we are going to be doing? Hello, Sentry. By the way, we're giving brief right now. Yikes. Okay, so today you guys have volunteered to go to one of the most inhospitable areas of the world, a red zone.
Sweet.
We are
Damn, it's
going to
almost
the
like
Dingor Central Red Zone. This place is of interest to us because we have already gathered or seen some convoys come out of it carrying some of the Tiberium power devices that GDI has been extensively testing on this island. So, we need to figure out what's there. We have no idea what's there. All photos there are over a decade old. Luckily for us, another Nod party is also interested in what's in that red zone. This other Nod party we have previously worked with, albeit with most of our members dying in that operation, and their name was not disclosed. Well, because of the situation of the op and the high likelihood that you may or may not live to see outside of it, they figured it would be a kind gesture of faith to at least tell you guys the name of the people, well, requesting you do this. They are the Swords of Nod, particularly a Black Hand division from the Sword of Nod that are interested in Dingor. Their full force is not here yet. They do not know whether or not they're going to send one here or assist us, but we seem to be getting on better and better terms, better than the Hassan forces, which their commander still has not responded to our hails at this time, sadly. As for the operation itself, they will give you a little bit more details about some of the exfiltration stuff. One thing they did tell me is that you should bring some flare pistols. The squad leader for sure should have a flare pistol, but most other members should also. There's twofold reasons for this. They said number one is you can use it for early exfiltration. They will explain that in more detail on the boat ride. And number two is inside the red zone, radios have a high amount of static, and some of the longer range radios will not work simply at all. For that reason alone, if you get separated from your squad, having a flare pistol loaded with red flares will allow you to be able to shoot it into the sky, and other squad mates might be able to see your position, although so will everyone else. But that can be your last ditch effort if you need to regroup or send people somewhere or maybe cause a diversion. It is completely and utterly up to you. Otherwise, they have provided us with some equipment as their payment to send you guys in instead of their own guys. They have given us some advanced Tiberium suits. These will provide you extra protection and from not only bullets but also Tiberium, and you are less likely to die from Tiberium cancer in the next year or so because of it.
Ah, yes, tea poisoning.
Tea poisoning is a very serious threat to most Nod soldiers, as most Nod soldiers think Tiberium is crack. I don't understand why. Anyhow,
Looks at Twid.
Hey, maybe
Yeah.
maybe you should stop recruiting from the slums of Rio. That might not it might not happen then.
Leo, that's a bad spot. Anyhow, so another thing is they have provided us with with some of the surplus explosives. Feel free to take them along with you. Try to divide your squad up nice and evenly. Otherwise, you have 1,000 milliliters of blood. Because in this operation, you will be going in, and you will not be able to be reinforced. You will not be able to get resupplied. So any ammo you bring in is the ammo you have. Luckily, these advanced TIB suits carry a large amount of weight, so you should be able to take in more than usual. There are